For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' mind and not their book. Meanwhile, I truly believe and pray that you and your families are completely safe and healthy as well. Today we have Niladri Shekhar Mitra sir with us, the author of 5 books. Thank you so much sir for coming on our show. We are highly grateful कि आप हमारे शो पर आए.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so before we get into the podcast and know about your book, I would like you to request, just please introduce yourself and let us know much more about your childhood, your journey, and the journey of your writing books.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Niladri Shekhar Mitra and I'm an author. I've written 5 books that include the poetry collection Songs of Dusk, the short story collection Beyond the Grey Light, and the Amazon best-selling book Letters of Time, which I republished this year. I had actually published it first in 2017, but then I thought of reworking that and republishing it, and so that I did this year.
Okay.
So apart from writing, I'm also an editor. I'm a professional editor, and I've worked on about 11 books right now. I'm working on 4 more books currently, and 5 of them have gone on to become bestsellers. So that's something that I'm really proud of. And apart from that, I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own business that I'm doing, and that's it. That's about me.
Okay. So sir, you are doing so many things. So when did that first thought strike on your mind कि okay, अच्छा ठीक है, अब मुझे book लिखनी है? Can you please share about that?
Actually, I started writing very early. I started writing when I was 12. So what happened was that when I was growing up, I was born in a very middle-class Bengali family. Okay, so even though my grandfather was an industrialist and he founded the first ever sugar mill in Eastern India, but by the time I was born, all that was gone, and we were a very middle-class family. So while growing up, I wanted to become a cricketer. I was quite good at it, and I wanted to become a cricketer, but that did not work out. But I had very fortunately, I found my calling in writing. So I started writing when I was 12. I wrote short poems and songs and stuff like that, and that I continued doing for 3-4 years. And then when I was about 17, I thought of writing a novel. I had written a bunch of songs and poems and shairi and short stories by that time. So I thought of writing a novel. So I started writing, and I published my first book in 2012, which was called Autumn Leaves. But at that time, as it happens, I was not really well acquainted with the structure of novel writing. It was my first book, and I just wanted to put everything in. So even though I still am proud of the concept of the book and everything, but I still feel that somehow I could have executed better. So I published that in 2012, and then the year after, in 2013, I brought out a novel called The Seductress. And then I sort of took a break because I was also working full time. I had an IT job, so I was working there. So in the beginning of 2016, I started writing my novel Letters of Time, and that I published in 2017. And then again I took a 2-year break, and then I wrote the poetry collection Songs of Dusk, and then Beyond the Grey Light, before eventually republishing Letters of Time.
Okay. So sir, as we know, all the books have been released and they are doing really well on Amazon. बट व्हाट आई पर्सनली फील सर कि बहुत सारे लोगों ने आपकी बुक पढ़ ली होगी, बट अभी भी बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग होंगे जो इस पॉडकास्ट को सुनने के बाद जाएंगे पढ़ने, या अभी भी वो सोचते होंगे कि अच्छा खरीदते हैं. सो व्हाट दे कैन एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम दैट बुक? कैन यू गिव अस सम इनसाइट्स अबाउट द बुक?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Letters of Nine, it's an unusual title, right? And that's because what the story essentially is about a serial killer who sends letters to a writer who is going for a writer's block. Now, this writer has to write a book, but he's not being able to write a book because he has a very bad condition of writer's block. So he starts getting letters from this serial killer who is a girl, and she tells him that I'll fictionalize my story and write a book about me and sell it as your own. I will send you 9 letters in which I will detail my journey where I've made 9 murders. Okay. And so she starts sending the letters every Monday, and as the letters start coming, this writer starts to realize that this person, the serial killer, might be somebody known to him. And his life and the life of his girlfriend who's living with him, they are both at stake, because of course you're being contacted by a serial killer, so you have that thing. So, and then it takes a very psychological route, and it explores the question of who really the serial killer is, as well as exploring her journey, because she's not a serial killer. It's like she's not someone who lusts for blood. There is always a reason to why she kills.
Definitely.
And she sort of tells him the story over a course of 9 minutes. That's what the book is.
Okay. That seems to be really interesting. But can you share with us what motivates you to write on this topic?
I'll tell you what motivated me is that I'm a big film buff. Okay? I love watching movies as well as an avid reader. Okay, but most of the books that I read on serial killers, or most of the movies that is on serial killers, I noticed a pattern that all of them, almost 98% of those stories, are not really told from the point of view of the killer, but rather from the point of view of an investigating officer or somebody who's after the killer. The killer is always kept as a very shadowy figure who's revealed at the end to keep the suspense up, to keep the mystery going, right? And that's been the case with almost every serial killing story that I've read or seen. I wanted to change that. I wanted to tell the story from the point of view of the killer. I wanted to get into the killer's head, right? And explore the psychological aspect of it, as well as explore the psychological aspect of the writer. So that's why I went for a dual narrative. So that was actually the main motivation, was that I want to tell a serial killer story from the point of view of a serial killer.
Okay. So, it is rightly said that if you don't find something which you like to read, then write something which you like to read. Exactly.
That's a popular saying, and that's true also,
Yeah.
Because I really felt that I would like to read a book, or I would like to watch a movie, whatever. I would like to know a story to the point of view of the serial killer, rather than the killer always being a very elusive, shadowy figure.
True.
And I wanted to explore that, and I'm really fascinated with the human mind, the psychology, of the human mind. I feel for a writer, the human mind is a treasure trove. If you explore it correctly, there are lots of stories that you can fetch out from there.
Okay. So sir, can we expect more such books from you, or you want to experiment a little bit and try some other genres as well as of now? What's upcoming next?
You know what? When I write something, I don't really think of the genre. Because I've always felt that if you think of the genre first and then try to construct the story around it, it sort of constrains you a bit. So if I have a story, I'll just write it, and then I'll think in which genre it's falling. When I started writing Letters of 9, I did not think that, okay, I'm going to write a psychological mystery, a psychological suspense. I just wanted to tell the story. Now, as I got into writing, as I got to half of the book, I realized, okay, this is going in the realm of psychological suspense or psychological thriller. So, if I go back to my first book, Autumn Leaves, it was a drama, right? And then I'm really fascinated with the concept of time, with science fiction. So, Beyond the Grey Line, and also supernatural, horror. So, Beyond the Grey Line, my short story collection has 12 short stories, and they all explore the concept of time and elements of the supernatural. So I think when I have a couple of projects in the pipeline, but because of my work schedule, my writing has taken a bit of a backseat. I do continue to write poems and all that. So most probably the next book would be another poetry collection, or maybe a short story collection. A novel would take some time, but I am exploring a couple of ideas. I'm working on a couple of ideas, but writing a whole book would take a bit of time.
Okay, definitely, sir. So, sir, like, how do you see yourself as a brand? Like, when it comes to personal branding, or leaving an impact on the reader's mind. Like, okay, from a couple of years from now, if anyone takes a book and okay, it's a book by Niladri sir, then what sort of impact you want to create on their mind? Like, okay, this is the that first thought, कि अच्छा ठीक है, इन्होंने लिखी है तो book ऐसी होगी. Is there any sort of branding or strategy going behind your books, or ever thought of that?
Not really, not a conscious effort. But I think if there is one imprint that I would like to leave on the reader, is that I think if you pick up a book of mine, and I'm talking about a novel or a short story collection, not a poetry collection, I think it would challenge you at some level. I strongly believe, even as an editor, I strongly believe that you should not spoon feed your reader, and you should trust your reader's intelligence. I always think that my reader is at least a couple of levels higher in me in intellect, and I write according to that. I don't like spoon feeding the reader. So I like stories that challenge me. Okay, I like stories that leave me with a bit of ambiguity when I'm reading a book, or when I'm watching a movie. I like an ending where after I've read the book, I'm sort of thinking to myself, okay, what could be the final conclusion, or where do the characters go from here? Right? I like to make up my own ending. I like to be invested in the story. So that is something that I try to incorporate in my writing as well. So if we are talking about a brand that I would like to cultivate, as far as my writing is concerned, I think it would be that, where my stories would challenge you at some level.
Okay, good. So my next question to have this podcast is, sir, like, what I personally feel, and what I have seen, after the first lockdown, the numbers of writers are getting increased day by day. Like, when it comes to publishing book, around hundreds of books are being published every week, we can say, because the publishing has become so easy, Kindle self-publishing and all those things. So what sort of competition do you feel in this industry as of now? Like a sort of neck-to-neck competition, or you are someone who thinks that okay, creativity has no competition, everyone is in their own race? Like, what's your take on this?
See, I don't believe really in competition. I think there is an audience for every, or rather a readership for every kind of book. It is true that a lot of books are being published. I mean, it's not exactly a new thing. I mean, since the advent of ebooks, really, the publishing industry has just skyrocketed. Before it was only before ebooks came into the picture, it was only traditional publishing, and self-publishing was very different, where you have to go to a printing press and then self-publish. It was very different. It was not as easy as it is today.
Definitely.
So it has always been there, but yes, after the pandemic, I think some people who wanted to write a book but did not have the time to do so got the time to write. Even I have edited a couple of books for a couple of clients who could write their books because of the pandemic and because of the lockdown. So they were at home and they thought, finally, let me just write the story that I've been thinking of for 2 years. So that is true. But as far as competition is concerned, I don't think so. I mean, I believe if you write a good book, if you're confident about it, if you write a book that's well written, well edited, well polished, I think it would find readers. But then again, just writing a book isn't enough because there's so much of competition, there is so much of content out there. If you just write a good book and just not do anything about it, how would people come to know about it? It would just eat dust in your shelf. That's it. So I think marketing is equally important, and every day there's more content, and I don't think so authors are only competing with authors. I think authors are also competing with other storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always believe that I believe that, you know, if there is a teenage boy, for example, and he wants to know a story, why would he read a book that would take him 3 to 4 days? Why wouldn't he just log into Netflix and watch a movie or binge on a show?
That's
right. So I think writing has also changed. I don't think you can write the way you could write in the Victorian era. You can't be a Dickens anymore. You have to, you have to write faster. You have to pace your writing properly. But having done all of that, I think it all comes down to how well you market yourself, how well you market your book. You have to be out there. You have to be on people's faces, and you have to shout from rooftops that my book is out. Otherwise, nobody's gonna bother.
True. And nobody cares as well.
Yes. Why? How would they? If you don't know that something exists, then you wouldn't even have the desire to explore it or read it, right? So first of all, you have to let people know that I have written a book and it's out there. Because it is true that it is competing with thousands of other books, right? And you have to make people read your book. It's not like I just tell people that, okay, my book is out there, please read it, and that will go to their TBR.
Definitely.
And
it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. They might read it after 5 years. Who knows? So you have to make people read it. You have to position yourself and position your book cleverly in a way that compels a reader to pick up your book. I mean, if it's difficult for you to do so, you take the help of experts and professionals and you market your book. If you have the means to do so, I think you should definitely go.
Okay. So, sir, as you have shared with us that you have been writing since the age of 12, and you have published 5 books and lots of articles and all those. So, as of now, like you are doing your job as well, and so do you have any particular writing schedule as well? Like every day you devote some hours, and or it's something like random कि अच्छा ठीक है कभी thought आया तो phone में या डायरी में लिख लिया and बाद में बैठ के उसे लिख रहे हैं.
No, I never kept a schedule actually. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I can't write with a tight schedule. One of the reasons I haven't still explored traditional publishing or gone with a contract with a traditional publisher is because I don't want to be constrained to a deadline. It gets difficult for me. Another reason is that I have never participated in a NaNoWriMo. That happens every November. It is coming up. I have never participated in that because I can't write in a constrained space. Okay, it may be that I write maybe 3 chapters in a day, and then I would just not write for 3-4 days. So that happens, and I write everywhere. Mostly I write on my phone. Whenever I get time, I write it on my phone, and then I sort of I make notes and make a rough draft of a chapter in my phone, and then put it to place in computer. But I write anywhere where it strikes me, I just write it down. I've seen a lot of people, they make voice notes of an idea they get. I don't do that. I just write it down. So there are writing apps available. There are lots of writing apps available on Play Store. True. Just download them. It's easy. It's not really a very difficult thing.
No. Okay, so sir, now as of like we have talked about your journey, about your upcoming books, about your plans and all, now coming to your personal life, can you share with us like what was the happiest moment of your life as of now? Like I guess there must be many, but if you can share single with us, then that would be really great.
I can't share it really. I mean, it was a great day for me. It happened fairly recently, in fact this year. It was the happiest day of my life so far, and actually there were 2 days, and it came pretty close by each other in a gap of a few weeks actually at the beginning of the year. But I can't share it; it's a bit personal. But yeah, those were really really happy days of my life. The happiest.
If you are happy, then that's not mandatory to share.
Yeah, it's I mean I've always been a very private person. I
completely understand.
I can't really go that much into what the exact thing of it. But yeah, and also let's not jinx it.
Okay, sir.
But it was a happy day.
Okay. So sir, like my next question to is like when your book is about to release, like what goes in your mind? Like, do you feel stressed or nervous or excited, or do you set any benchmark for your books, or what goes behind your mind?
Okay. First of all, when I'm releasing a book, I'm excited. Of course, I'm proud, because any writer would know that writing a book is a journey, and it takes a lot of effort to write a book. It's not really easy. I mean, people who say you just sit at home and write, it's not a big deal. I mean, they should try writing a book. They would understand. It's a lot of hard work. So yeah, there is a sense of satisfaction. There is a sense of pride. But as far as being nervous goes, no, I'm not. I don't feel nervous at all. I mean, maybe I felt nervous when I published my first book. That happens, first time jitters. But now I am not nervous. And as far as benchmark is concerned, I don't set a benchmark. My expectations are really low when I'm publishing a book, because I feel that if your expectations are low, then whatever happens would be a bonus for you. And you would only feel happier if you set your bar really high or at a very unrealistic level. Then even though if your book does a fair amount of business, you would be disappointed.
Definitely.
Right? And that would discourage you perhaps, or demotivate you from writing another book, or so why keep too much expectation? So I just keep it at a very low minimal level and just think, 5 book big gaya to kafi hai, like that. And then whatever happens is just bonus.
Bonus points. Yeah, that's something which most of the people who are listening to have to follow in their life as well, because if we set the goals, as you said, high goals, then whatever, if we are doing a normal thing, that's achievement is as well done, but then also we will feel sad because what we have written is not completed.
Exactly. Expectations breed disappointment. It's very simple. Yes, I have expectations of myself. I have plans of myself. I set targets and goals for myself, which I strive to achieve because those are in my control. Right? I cannot set an expectation for my book where it's not. Once I put it out there, once it's published, it's not in my control. Whether somebody reads it or they don't read it, it's not in my control. Right? No matter how much I scream about it, that okay, my book is out, you should read it, but whether a person would eventually go buy the book and read it is up to them. Right? It's not in my control. So I don't have expectations in that regard. I have expectations of my own that I can control and I know that I can achieve. And I don't try to control the uncontrollables.
Okay, so sir, like when you when you write a book, or when you are planning to do something and you just let it to be in you just release in the front of the whole world, then there comes like 2 sort of things. One, positive reviews. Second, the negative reviews. And when it comes to like books, the reviews can be easily read by anyone on Amazon, and can be uploaded by anyone on Amazon. So do these review like bad reviews makes you sad, or good reviews like do reviews affect you basically?
Of course, good reviews make me happy. I mean, that's very human. When somebody is praising you, would be happy, right? I mean, there's no other way around it. If you get a good review and you're not happy, then there's something really wrong. But bad reviews don't affect me that much. Actually, I look forward to a bit of criticism. I've always been that way. I've always looked forward to criticism, and even when I tell somebody that read my book and do leave a review, I always tell them leave an honest review. You don't have to leave a very rosy whitewash review. Just write whatever. If you feel the book is good, write good. If you don't feel the book is not good, then just write whatever you have felt. Okay, and because I strongly believe that it's important for anybody, especially people who are in a creative pursuit, to take criticism and to learn from criticism, because criticism makes you better. it helps you identify your flaws, the flaws that you may have in your work, and it's better for you. It only means that you would improve. But again, there's another thing that you have to also know how to differentiate between constructive criticism and just plain vindictive criticism. Because sometimes it might happen that maybe someone just wants to put you down, or maybe they're in competition with you, or they have some beef with you and they just want to write a bad review. So you don't take that much to heart those things, and you don't try to improve on those points, because you should know, I think that comes with a little bit of experience. I think you would know that, okay, it's not something that I need to bother with. But if there's a review that points out, flaws in your writing, or whatever, anything that, or any I wouldn't say flaws, but rather shortcomings, I think you should take it constructively and try to improve it.
Okay. So my last question of this podcast is, sir, what are your advices for the upcoming authors? Like, if you have to give a single piece of advice to people who are, who are just about to start writing, or, who are just holding their draft in their laptop in their hands and about to publish. So what would you like to suggest them?
If you're starting a book, I think the only thing I can say is that just write it. Don't think about what will happen to it. Where it's destined to go, and don't think about how it's coming up, because the first draft there's a popular saying, that the first draft is just you telling yourself the story. And that's absolutely true. So don't bother with it, just write, just get it all down on paper. Once you have the first draft ready, then you can go and polish it, then you can write the second draft, if need be the third draft. But just write, and be observant. I think that's something that's very important for writers, that you be observant about things around you, because anything at any point can come in handy when you're writing a book. Maybe you've seen something, maybe you've just seen a man on a bus, and you just observe him for like 1 minute, and maybe he has some tick or some eccentricity that you can incorporate in a character later. That can happen. So be observant. And another thing that is just, I think, that goes without saying, read a lot. And read every genre. It doesn't mean that if you're a sci-fi writer, you only read sci-fi. You read every genre, and then you pick up the good things from each genre and incorporate them into your writing. I think, and if you're publishing a book, put your best into marketing. Be shameless about it. Be shameless about promoting your book. There's no shame in telling people, in messaging people, in DMing people, and telling me that my book is out there, please read it. Because you've put your effort, you've put your book out there. Just go and just scream from every rooftop that you can find that my book is out there.
Okay. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you must have enjoyed this episode, and if you do, then do follow our podcast, Reading the Author, available on all the leading podcast platforms. And don't forget to buy and read the books. आप जैसे Amazon पे जाएं, वहाँ पे सर्च करें नीलाद्री शेखर मित्रा, सर की बुक्स आ जाएंगी. जरूर खरीदें, पढ़ें, और अपने जानने वालों के साथ, चाहने वालों के साथ जरूर शेयर करें. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on our show. Thank you so much for enlightening us with your words.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.